Welcome back, coin lovers and treasure hunters. Sparkles. Today, we're going to explore the top 4 most valuable Washington quarter dollar coins from the United States of America. These quarters are not just worth 25 cents. Many of them carry major value due to rare mint errors, silver content, unusual shades, and their condition. They have become major players in the coin collecting and investing world. These rare treasures are not only pieces of American history, but also some of the most valuable coins collectors are hunting today. So, if you're a coin enthusiast or someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of U.S. currency, this video is just for you. Backhand index pointing right. Let's get started with the first rare Washington quarter on our list. Rocket. The Washington quarter, bearing the dual date 1776 to 1976, is no ordinary piece of pocket change. It was struck to honor the bicentennial of American independence, a milestone 2 centuries in the making. For collectors, the coin embodies far more than 25 cents. It symbolizes the birth of a nation and the endurance of liberty across generations. The version struck in silver without a mint mark, intended for special collector sets, is among the most celebrated treasures of 20th century American coinage. Today, these coins command attention in the numismatic market, not simply because of their metal content, but because of their deep historical resonance and the scarcity of well-preserved examples. When the United States prepared for the bicentennial celebration in the mid-1970s, the mint took unprecedented steps. It redesigned circulating coinage for the first time in decades, creating special reverses for the quarter, half dollar, and dollar. The Washington quarter received a bold image of a colonial drummer, symbolizing the heartbeat of revolution and the call to freedom. The obverse retained the familiar portrait of George Washington, but bore the dual date 1776 to 1976, forever marking it as a coin born of celebration. Unlike ordinary issues, some of these quarters were struck in silver-clad composition for collectors, a nod to tradition in an era when silver had long since vanished from circulating coinage. The silver bicentennial quarters were minted primarily for proof and uncirculated sets sold to the public, and the versions without mint marks are tied to the Philadelphia Mint. To the untrained eye, these coins might look like ordinary quarters, but to collectors they hold a special mystique. The bright shimmer of silver, the crispness of detail in high-grade examples, and the historical weight of their design make them endlessly desirable. It is here that fortune hides, in the careful recognition of what appears common but is, in truth, extraordinary. The sheer symbolism of this coin magnifies its appeal. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that celebrates the Declaration of Independence itself, struck exactly 200 years after its signing. Few coins ever produced in American history carry such immediate patriotic power. It is not just a piece of metal. It is a monument in miniature, a testament to sacrifice, struggle, and triumph. This explains why demand for pristine, silver bicentennial quarters has remained strong for nearly half a century. For collectors, condition is everything, and this is where the 1776 to 1976 silver quarters separate themselves from their clad counterparts. Coins preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, or struck as proofs with mirror-like surfaces, can command staggering prices at auction. The finest graded examples, those that exhibit no blemishes, no wear, and a brilliance untouched by time, have been known to sell for thousands of dollars, a far cry from their humble 25-cent face value. Error coins add another layer of fascination. Some bicentennial quarters struck in silver show striking anomalies, off-center strikes, double dies, or unusual planchet flaws. These rare varieties multiply a coin's value many times over, turning an already sought-after piece into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. To stumble upon such a coin is to experience the thrill of unearthing buried treasure, a reminder that numismatics is as much about adventure as it is about history. What makes these silver bicentennial quarters particularly fascinating is their place in the evolution of American coinage. By the mid-1960s, silver had been removed from circulating dimes and quarters due to rising costs. The decision to restore silver briefly for the bicentennial was both nostalgic and symbolic. It honored the heritage of American coinage while giving collectors a tangible piece of history in a noble metal. This makes the 1776 to 1976 silver quarter not only a collectible, but also a historical pivot point in the story of U.S. money. Think, too, of the millions of these coins distributed across the nation during bicentennial celebrations. They jingled in pockets, were spent at parades, and given as keepsakes at family gatherings. Yet very few people realize that within those same issues existed a smaller, more valuable class, the silver strikes, tucked away in collector's sets and carefully preserved. The survival of these coins in pristine condition is what fuels today's market, and it is precisely the scarcity that can make a single coin worth more than one could ever imagine. Stories abound of families discovering old proof or uncirculated sets tucked away in attics, only to learn that their bicentennial silver quarters were worth small fortunes. These tales illustrate a powerful truth. Fortune does not always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it waits quietly in a dusty box, its power to transform a life resting on the knowledge of its true worth. In the marketplace, the allure of the silver bicentennial quarter continues to rise. Collectors from around the world pursue them not only for their beauty and rarity, but also for profound historical connection they embody. They are timeless reminders of America's 200th birthday and the enduring legacy of freedom. For investors, they are also an asset, proof that history and value can walk hand in hand. What makes the silver bicentennial quarter truly captivating is the idea that it can change a person's destiny. One might dismiss it as an ordinary quarter until an expert appraisal reveals its staggering value. In that moment, the coin ceases to be mere money and becomes a passport to fortune, carrying with it the weight of 2 centuries of American triumphs. So, if you ever encounter a 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter without a mint mark, struck in silver, do not overlook it. This coin is not just a fragment of history. It is a beacon of possibility, a reminder that sometimes the smallest objects hold the greatest power. In its silver gleam lies not just the story of America's past, but also the potential to change your future overnight. Next up, the Washington quarter 1984. D holds a special place in the world of American coinage, not because it was intended to be a silver coin, but because rare examples exist that defy expectations. Most people think of quarters from the 1980s as common, copper-nickel-clad coins, circulating pieces with no intrinsic metal value beyond their face. Yet every so often, anomalies appear. Coins struck on leftover silver planchets, minting errors, or rare varieties that change everything. These scarce survivors have become legends, proving that even in modern times, a simple 1984 D quarter could be worth an unimaginable sum far beyond its intended 25 cents. The Denver Mint produced millions of quarters in 1984, and most were destined for circulation. However, history tells us that the minting process was never perfect. From time to time, old silver blanks left over from earlier decades found their way into the presses. If a quarter was mistakenly struck on one of these silver planchets, the result was a coin unlike any of its ordinary counterparts. It is this kind of mistake that makes numismatics so thrilling. A hidden gem, unnoticed by the world, lie in wait for someone to discover it. To understand the significance of a 1984 D silver era quarter, we need to appreciate the broader history of American coinage. By 1965, the U.S. Mint had eliminated silver from dimes and quarters, replacing it with a clad composition of copper and nickel. Silver was simply too valuable to continue in everyday circulation, yet the machinery of the mint was vast and complex, and the occasional silver planchet sometimes remained in the system long after it was officially discontinued. When paired with the 1984 D issue, such a mistake transformed a common coin into a priceless rarity. Imagine, for a moment, the power such a discovery could have. You could hold in your hand what looks like any other quarter, a coin you might use to buy a soda or drop into a parking meter. Yet, under the right conditions, when tested, its silver composition and unique origin would reveal a treasure worth thousands, or even millions, depending on condition, rarity, and demand. That is the alchemy of numismatics, the transformation of everyday change into a golden, or in this case, silver, opportunity. Collectors often speak of sleepers in the market, coins that go unnoticed until their value is fully realized. The 1984 D-quarter is one such sleeper. It blends in the crowd of ordinary clad coins, but to the trained eye, or to those fortunate enough to test its metal, it becomes a dazzling outlier. This is why coin experts emphasize careful examination of even the most common dates. Fortune sometimes hides in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Auction houses have shown us time and again how valuable error coins can become. When rare 1980s quarters struck on silver planchet surface, bidding wars erupt. Collectors recognize their scarcity and leap at the chance to own a piece of minting history. The price paid is not just for the metal content, but for the story, a coin that should not exist, yet does. That story, rooted in accident and rarity, is what makes the 1984 D silver quarter a legend in the making. The Denver Mint itself adds weight to the tale. Known for its massive output and rigorous standards, the idea that such an anomaly slipped through its presses only magnifies the coin's mystique. How could a silver planchet from decades earlier find its way into a 1984 run? Was it overlooked in a storage bin? Was it accidentally mixed during preparation? These unanswered questions only deepen the allure of the coin, turning it into a riddle for collectors to ponder. Condition, as always, is paramount. A circulated example of such a coin would already be astonishing, but one preserved in pristine mint state could change a collector's destiny. High-grade silver errors are few and far between. In the 1984, D would be especially remarkable in this regard. If ever one emerged in gem condition, its value could leap from thousands into unimaginable heights, perhaps even reaching kind of sums that rewrite a person's fortune overnight. It is also worth considering the emotional connection people have with coins from the 1980s. Many alive today grew up using them daily, and nostalgia attached to that period magnifies demand. Owning a rare silver 1984, D is not just about profit. It is about holding on to a tangible fragment of personal and national history. The coin bridges the ordinary and the extraordinary, the everyday and the legendary. The larger story here is that the U.S. Mint, despite its precision, was still a human institution. Mistakes were made, and those mistakes became treasures. The 1984 D silver quarter embodies this truth, showing us that perfection is not always a goal. In imperfection lies rarity, and in rarity lies value. This is why coin collectors scour their change, why they sift through bags of quarters with hope in their hearts, because sometimes lightning does strike twice. For those who believe in the power of destiny, the 1984 D silver quarter could be seen as a coin capable of changing lives. It is the kind of piece that, once discovered, might elevate an ordinary person into the realm of millionaires. It is a symbol of possibility, a reminder that fortune is not always earned through hard labor alone, but sometimes through sharp eyes, patience, and luck. So if you ever encounter a 1984 D quarter that looks or feels different, perhaps brighter, heavier, or with a distinctive ring when dropped, do not dismiss it. Test it, treasure it, and protect it. For within its silver heart may lie the key to untold fortune, a coin capable of rewriting your story in a single, breathtaking moment. That is the magic of the 1984 D Washington quarter, an unassuming treasure with the power to change your life forever. Next up, the Washington quarter 1966 is one of those coins that carries an aura of mystery and intrigue in a world of American numismatics. On the surface, it appears to be just another quarter minted during a time when the United States had already shifted away from silver coinage. In fact, all quarters dated 1965 and later were supposed to be struck in copper-nickel clad composition rather than silver. Yet, for collectors and historians alike, the 1966 Washington quarter has become a whispered legend, as rare silver examples are rumored to exist. Coins born of error or oversight, or perhaps intentional testing at the mint. To hold one would be to hold a bridge between two eras, the end of silver coinage and the beginning of modern clad currency. To understand why this coin is so fascinating, we must first travel back to the mid-1960s. The year 1965 was a turning point in American coinage history. Rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to remove silver from dimes and quarters entirely, replacing it with clad copper-nickel to keep production costs stable. But the transition was not flawless. In the process of changing over, silver planchets sometimes lingered within the minting machinery. These accidental survivors occasionally found themselves struck with dates beyond their intended range. Thus, the possibility of a 1966 silver quarter is not just fantasy. It is part of the strange reality of minting history. The story becomes more powerful when we consider that the 1966 quarter bore no mint mark, as the government attempted to discourage coin hoarding by removing mint identifiers. This anonymity only adds to the mystery. Without a mint mark, it becomes even harder to trace where anomalies originated. Was it Philadelphia? Denver? San Francisco? The uncertainty has fueled decades of speculation, making the coin even more alluring to treasure seekers and collectors. Imagine, for a moment, finding a 1966 quarter in your change, gleaming slightly differently from its copper-nickel siblings. It feels heavier, rings with a purer tone when dropped, and shines with a distinct brilliance of silver. To most, it might pass unnoticed, but to the trained eye, or even the lucky hand, it could represent the discovery of a lifetime. What looks like a mere 25-cent piece could, in reality, be worth thousands or even millions depending on condition and provenance. The fascination with this coin lies not only in its material, but also in its symbolism. The 1966 silver quarter would represent the end of an age when America's coinage was still tied to precious metal. It is more than just a quarter. It is a relic of a time when money carried both face value and intrinsic value. Collectors know that such pieces are not only about wealth, but about owning a fragment of American history that should not exist. That rarity, that impossible survival, is what transforms an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. Auction houses and private sales have proven time and again that when a coin like this surfaces, it can ignite bidding wars of breathtaking intensity. Collectors crave not just the silver content, but the story, the mystery, the error, the unexplainable survival. It is that story that makes a coin like the 1966 silver quarter worth far more than its weight in precious metal. It is a narrative of transition, imperfection, and rarity, all bound within a single disc of metal. The coin's condition, of course, would magnify its impact. A circulated example already defies probability. But an uncirculated, mint-state silver 1966 quarter will be nothing short of revolutionary. It would not just be a collector's piece. It would be a national treasure. A specimen like that could rewrite what we know about the mint's operations during the 1960s, making its discovery a headline-worthy event in both numismatic and historical circles. For those who dream of life-changing fortune, this coin symbolizes a possibility of overnight transformation. Picture yourself realizing that the humble quarter sitting in your jar change is not clad copper-nickel, but pure silver, a coin with the power to lift you from ordinary life into extraordinary wealth. It is this dream that keeps collectors searching, turning over every coin and testing every suspect quarter. The 1966 silver quarter is more than money. It is a key to fortune disguised as the everyday. There is also the cultural nostalgia attached to coins of the 1960s. For many, quarters from this era were the coins of their childhood, used for pinball machines, soda fountains, or movie tickets. To find one in silver form ties that nostalgia to immense value. It transforms memory into material wealth, making the coin not just valuable in monetary terms, but priceless in sentiment. The 1966 quarter also tells us something important about America itself. It reflects a time of economic change, when silver could no longer be sustained as part of everyday commerce. It reflects the resourcefulness of the mint, but also the inevitability of human error. And within those errors, rare treasures were born, treasures that collectors today pursue with relentless passion. For those who believe in destiny, the 1966 silver quarter may very well be seen as a coin with the power to alter fate. It embodies the idea that fortune sometimes hides in plain sight, disguised as ordinary change in your pocket. It is not a lottery ticket nor a gamble, but a tangible piece of history that could turn its discoverer into a legend of the collecting world. So, if ever you stumble upon a 1966 Washington quarter that feels or looks unusual, do not dismiss it. Examine it, weigh it, and test it. It could be the silver ghost of a bygone era, a coin that was never meant to exist, yet somehow survived. In that survival lies unimaginable fortune, the chance to change your life forever with a single piece of American history. That is the allure, the power, and the destiny of the 1966 Washington Quarter. Next up, the Washington Quarter, dated 1978, may appear at first glance to be just another coin from the era of copper-nickel-clad coinage. But in the world of numismatics, it carries a fascination that has made it the subject of great speculation. Officially, quarters from this year were not struck in silver, as silver had been removed from circulation coinage back in 1965. Yet, legends and evidence suggest that a handful of silver planchets, left over from earlier minting experiments or misplaced in error, may have found their way into the presses during this period. The result is a possibility of a 1978 quarter that gleams with silver, a coin that should not exist yet whispers its presence in the annals of collecting lore. To understand the magnitude of such a coin, we must step back into the 1970s. America was in the midst of economic uncertainty, with inflation rising and silver prices fluctuating on the international market. The mint was fully committed to clad coinage by then, having abandoned silver over a decade earlier. Still, the process of striking billions of coins annually left room for rare mistakes. Just as in earlier years, the possibility of silver planchets being mixed into regular production created anomalies, rare treasures hidden in plain sight. If a silver 1978 quarter escaped into circulation, it would represent not just a minting accident, but a remarkable survival of history's chaos. The coin of 1978 carries no mint mark when struck in Philadelphia, which adds an air of mystery to any discovery. Without the identifying mark, its origins are harder to trace, leaving collectors to wonder where such an anomaly could have been born. This lack of traceability only increases its allure. Was it struck deliberately as a test? Was it the result of oversight, a forgotten silver planchet hiding in a bin of clad metal? Each possibility stokes the imagination of collectors and historians alike, making the 1978 silver quarter a coin of legend. If one were to hold such a coin, the differences would be clear to an experienced eye. Its tone would shine with the luster of silver rather than the gray, muted surface of copper-nickel. Its sound, when tapped or dropped, would ring with the pure resonance only silver can produce. To the untrained person, it might look like any other quarter. To the keen observer, it could be the key to unimaginable fortune. What makes it powerful is precisely this duality. It can pass unnoticed, yet hold the power to change one's destiny overnight. The importance of such a coin is not only in its material. The 1978 silver quarter is a relic of transition, a coin that should never exist in its form. Its rarity would make it one of the most sought-after pieces of the modern numismatic era. A discovery like this could fetch staggering sums at auction, for it combines rarity, history, and error all in one. Collectors around the world dream of unearthing such coins because they are not just pieces of money. They are stories in metal, accidents turned into legends. The symbolic power of this coin cannot be overlooked. By 1978, America had long adjusted to coins made without intrinsic value. A silver quarter from that year would remind us of a time when money was backed by something tangible, something real. It would stand as a challenge to history, a rogue survivor from a lost age. Owning one would not simply be about wealth. It would be about holding in your hand a piece of living contradiction. At auction, the value of such a discovery could reach beyond imagination. Collectors are willing to pay fortunes for coins far less significant than a 1978 silver quarter. The mere whisper of such a piece being authenticated could ignite global bidding wars. The wealthy, the curious, and the passionate would all be drawn into the chase, each seeing not just a coin but a chance to own the impossible. In such moments, money becomes secondary. The true treasure is a story. For everyday dreamers, this coin symbolizes the possibility of fortune hidden within the ordinary. It teaches us that even the humblest coin in our pocket could be something more. That jar of change on a dresser, that forgotten roll of quarters in a drawer. These could conceal a treasure capable of rewriting one's fate. The 1978 silver quarter represents the hope of discovery, the thrill of realizing that the extraordinary hides within the everyday. The cultural resonance of quarters from the 1970s also adds to the story. They were the coins of gas stations, arcades, diners, and vending machines, symbols of working-class America. To find one in silver would blend nostalgia with fortune, turning a reminder of simpler times into an instrument of life-changing wealth. This is what makes such coins so much more than currency. They are anchors of memory as well as keys to opportunity. In the history of coinage, anomalies often become the crown jewels of collections. The 1978 silver quarter stands among these whispered treasures. It embodies the idea that the mint, despite its precision, is still bound to human oversight. And in that oversight, miracles are born. Coins like this remind us that perfection is not the source of value. It is the rare imperfection that ignites wonder. For those who believe in destiny, the 1978 silver quarter becomes more than metal. It becomes a messenger of fortune, proof that greatness sometimes lies in the most unassuming of places. It holds within the potential to elevate an ordinary person into legend. It is not just about the coin, it is about the transformation it promises. So, should you come across a 1978 quarter that feels different, looks different, or sounds different, guard it carefully. Test it, weigh it, and consider what it might truly be. For hidden among millions of ordinary coins may lie a single extraordinary treasure, the silver quarter of 1978, a coin with the power to change history, wealth, and destiny in a single turn of fate. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.